Hi, this is Michael, and welcome back to the World War II Book Guide. Today we're going to deal with one of my absolute favorites, the six-volume set, The Second World War, by Winston Churchill. Now, Churchill wrote these books between 1948 and 1953, and he was an incredibly prolific author during the course of his life, writing 43 books that spanned 72 volumes. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1953, kind of a lifetime achievement award, but a lot of it was driven by the popularity of these books. Now, a lot of people think of Winston Churchill as being the Prime Minister of England throughout World War II, but in fact, he was not Prime Minister when the war began, nor was he Prime Minister when it ended. When England declared war on Germany September 3rd, 1939, he was appointed as First Sea Lord of the Admiralty. Now, that's a role he had held before. He was First Sea Lord 1911 to 1915, so the first 2 years of World War I. He was dismissed from that role after the disaster of the Gallipoli campaign that he was his chief advocate. Nonetheless, he was First Sea Lord of the Admiralty again from September 1939 through the period we call the Phony War, until the German offensive in the West. Now, when the Germans launched their offensive, the faith or credibility of the Chamberlain government started to crumble. When the Germans invaded France, it was completely gone, and Churchill was posted or promoted to prime minister. Now, he remained as prime minister from that time until July of 1945. He was actually at the Potsdam Conference with FDR and Stalin in July of 1945 that he found out he had lost the election, and his successor, Attlee, actually finished it out. So he saw the fall of Germany. He was not the prime minister when Japan fell. Now, what's fascinating about this book, but without a doubt, is that he is such a crucial player for this. Now, I think of this less as a history and more as a personal memoir in a strategic sense, because it is his view of the war, and he is, of course, the central character in it. But he talks about the events, the strategies, the politics, both internal politics in England as well as the politics of the alliance, and all the personalities that were involved in the war. Now, it's very much from a British perspective and from Winston Churchill's perspective. That's why I think of it more as a personal memoir. It begins with the first volume, The Gathering Storm. And that brings us from the end of World War I through the rise of Nazism to the Norwegian campaign. And one of the interesting things is that each of these volumes begins with a theme. And the theme of this one, how the English-speaking peoples, through their unwisdom, carelessness, and good nature, allowed the wicked to rearm. So you get a sense of how he felt about this. Now, he also considered this set to be an extension of his three-volume set, The Great War, from World War I. And that's why he carries that through here, and he actually mentions that in the preface as well. So he takes us through this. The rest of the volumes take us all the way to Potsdam and express his views as the prime minister and leader of Britain throughout the war. And as I said, he comments on all of the major characters, the events, the strategies, everything. It's fascinating, but it's very much from his perspective. Now, some detractors will say he chose to include this, but he didn't include that. His views on certain individuals are controversial. Oh, he just didn't like this person, or he wanted to downplay their role in something. But I don't think that detracts from it. This is his story, and he is the best person to tell this, and the only one of the wartime leaders that wrote a first-person description of the war at the very highest strategic level. It's immensely readable. It's actually a very enjoyable read, and you can find used copies of it at very affordable prices. It is, in my mind, just an absolute essential to the library for anybody who's really interested in World War II. So until next time, that's Michael, the World War II book guide. Next time we're going to talk about a pair of books. I'm going to do them together because they're unique and they're small. And they're both first person, they're tactical narratives from a Japanese perspective. Samurai by Sapporo Sakai, and Japanese Destroyer Captain by Taro Hara. So until next time, World War II book guide. Thanks.